All right, well, we're going to do something fun today. It's been about a year or so ago now on my radio show, Serious Honk, which is on realgospelmusic.com. I host the show every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. I did a songwriter versus songwriter, song versus song segment in my show that went over really good with my listeners, and by request, they have asked that I make a video pretty much doing the same segment that I did then. So this one goes out to my good buddy Lonesome Lance Williams, who was the one that requested it. What we're going to do, we're going to take the song Take the Money and Run by the Steve Miller Band, and we're going to take The Road Goes On Forever by Robert Earl Keen, and we're going to see who the better songwriter of the two is. Is it Steve Miller? Is it Robert Earl Keen? So I've got the lyrics here in front of me. Cheers, everybody. Yeah, I realize I'm doing some shameless self-promotion here, but what the fuck. So here we go. Take the money and run. We'll break it down. Here's the lyrics. Hoo-hoo. This is a story about Billy Joe and Bobby Sue. Two young lovers with nothing better to do. Well, first of all, right out of the gate, Billy Joe and Bobby Sue. How many times has that been used in a song? That's like the two lamest names he could have ever thought of. That sat around the house getting high and watched the tube. And here's what happened when they decided to cut loose. So far, we know they have generic names. They're two young lovers, and they just sit around and get high and watch TV. They headed down to old El Paso. That's where they ran into a great big hassle. Billy Joe shot a man while robbing his castle. Bobby Sue took the money and run. So apparently they go to El Paso. They run into a great big hassle, but we really don't know what it is. And we really don't know because he says Billy Joe shot a man while robbing his castle. Well, was that the hassle? I'm lost. And Bobby Sue takes the money and she runs. So now that the two are separated, they're not together, obviously. So take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run. Hoo, go on, take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run. All right, now, here we go. Next verse. Hoo. Billy Mack is a detective down in Texas. You know, he knows exactly what the facts is. Well, I'm glad somebody does because I don't have a clue what's going on so far. He ain't going to let those two escape justice. He makes his living off of the people's taxes. Well, if he's doing his job and he knows what the facts are, and I don't care to spend a little of my tax dollars to help him keep people off the streets. So I don't know why Steve Miller had to take that little jab that we're paying the guy. But anyway, Bobby Sue, whoa, she slipped away. And Billy Joe caught up with her the very next day. Now look what he did. First of all, Billy Mack, another generic name. It's just weird to me that these three people is Billy Joe, Bobby Sue, and Billy Mack. That's a little weird. And he brings Billy Mack out like he's this big, badass detective. He knows what the facts is, but then Bobby Sue just slipped away. That would be like if they wrote for Clint Eastwood to come out and go, come on, go ahead, make my day. And somebody just came out of nowhere, gave him a wedgie, and kicked him in the ass and sent him packing. He buried the character of Billy Mack. He put him over as this great law enforcement officer, and then, in the very next line, well, Bobby Sue, she just slipped away. But here's the question. She took the money and run. Billy Joe caught up the very next day. Where were they at? They already had slipped away from each other. In the first verse, so how did they get back together and then slip away again, and now he's caught back up with her? They got the money. Hey, they got away. So Billy Mack sucks. He can't do his job. They headed down to the south, and they're still running today, singing, go on, take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run. Hoo, go on, take the money and run. Oh, Lord, go on, take the money and run. Hoo. Hey, yeah, go on, take the money and run. Yeah, hoo. Go on, take the money and run. Oh, Lord, go on, take the money and run. Yeah, hoo. Run, oh, Lord. So there it is. We have no idea where these two really came from. We don't know how they got the money. We just know Billy Joe robbed a guy. She ran away. Then she slipped away again. But I thought she already slipped away. I thought we were already there. So these three characters are just You got two losers that just goes out and robs somebody, and then you got some detective that, boy, he's a badass, but he just can't seem to get her done. So, kind of give a thumbs down on that. Now, let's shift over to Robert Earl Keen and his great song, The Road Goes On Forever. Sherry was a waitress at the only joint in town. She had a reputation as a girl who'd been around, and down Main Street after midnight, a brand new pack of cigs, a fresh one hanging from her lips, and a beer between her legs, she'd ride down to the river, meet with all her friends, the road goes on forever, and the party never ends. Now notice, we know that she's a waitress. There's only one joint in town. She's got the reputation as the girl that gets around, and she's down on Main Street at midnight. She's got a cigarette in her mouth, beer between her legs. This girl's a badass. And he don't abuse the line, road goes on forever and the party ever ends. He doesn't go, hoo, oh yeah, go on, road goes on forever, blah, blah, blah. He just kind of to the point. Sonny was a loner. He was older than the rest. He was going in the Navy, but he couldn't pass a test. So he hung around town. He sold a little pot. The law caught wind of Sonny. One day he got caught. But he was back in business when they set him free again. The road goes on forever and the party never ends. Now, the two characters in this story is Sonny and Sherry. A lot better than Billy Joe and Bobby Sue and Billy Mack. And I've always wondered if there's a little Sonny and Cher reference here. Okay, that might be a little borderline cheese. But at least Robert Earl Keen has set Sonny up as a badass. He's told us he is. He was going in the Navy, but he couldn't pass a test. He hung around town, sold a little pot. The law caught wind of him. He got caught, but he was right back in business when he got out. Now, if that'd been Billy Mack, they would have been like, well, they put Billy Mack in jail, and he never did try that again. He just gave up. So, Sonny's playing 8-ball at a joint where Sherry works when some drunken out-of-towner put his hand up Sherry's skirt. Sonny took his pool cue, laid a drunk out on the floor, stuffed the dollar in the tip jar, and walked on out the door. She's running right behind him, reaching for his hand. The road goes on forever, and the party never ends. Now, look, we know, we can see everything that's happening. This is not lazy songwriting. This is not lazy storytelling. This isn't woo, 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 she slipped away, and she's still running today, and they got separated, and blah, blah, blah. We know what's going on. Now they jumped into his pickup. Sonny jammed her down in gear. Sonny looked at Sherry and said, let's get on out of here. The stars were high above them. The moon was to the east. The sun was setting on them when they reached Miami Beach. They got a motel by the water and a quart of Bombay gin. The road goes on forever and the party never ends. Does anyone need any more details? And look how quick, look how easily he was able to put it all together. We don't know where Billy Joe and Bobby Sue went. We don't know really why they left. We don't know if Billy Joe was... We have no idea about neither one of those characters. All we know is they were just two stoners sitting around watching Cheech and Chong movies, possibly. He could have at least threw that in there, but he doesn't. Now, they soon ran out of money, but Sonny knew a man who knew some Cuban refugees that dealt in contraband. Sonny met the Cubans at a house just off the roof with a briefcase full of money and a pistol in his boot. The cards were on the table when the law come busting in. The road goes on forever, and the party never ends. Sonny's a badass, man. So far, they threw him in jail. He got back out. He started growing his pot again. He didn't give a shit. And now the law has came for him. But the Cubans grabbed the goodies and Sonny grabbed the jack. He broke a bathroom window and he climbed on out the back. Sherry drove her pickup through the alley on the side where a lawman tackled Sonny and was reading him his rights. She stepped into the alley with a single shot 410. The road goes on forever and the party never ends. Now we know everything. We know everything that we should have known about Billy Joe and Bobby Mack. We just know, we don't know why they slipped away and how they got back together and what twists and turns they made. We don't know what the hassle was. We don't know who the guy in the castle was. We don't know what they was fighting over. But we know what these people were fighting over. So they left the lawman lying. They made their getaway. They got back to the motel just before the break of day. Sonny gave her all the money and he blew a little kiss. If they ask you how it happened, say I forced you into this. She watched him as the taillights disappeared around the bend. That old road goes on forever. The party never ends. I mean, these are two badasses. And they have, I mean, Billy Mack would not have stood a shot. If he let Bobby Sue slip away that easy, he would have been, oh man, he would have been up shit creek without a paddle if he'd have come up in front of Sonny and Sherry. And finally, it's Main Street after midnight, just like it was before, 21 months later at the local grocery store. Sherry buys a paper and a cold 6-pack of beer. The headline reads that Sonny is going to the chair. She pulls back on the main street in her new Mercedes-Benz. The road goes on forever, and the party never ends. So we knew how they met. We knew who they were. We know where they started, and we know where they ended up. Sonny's going to the chair. Sherry got the new pickup. And the law didn't get him. So, well, there you go. I mean, well, the law got Sonny, of course. He's going to the chair. But I think it's safe to say, folks, that if we had to say who the better of the two songwriters are, by far, it's Robert Earl Keen. And if I was Steve Miller, I would just start me up a Jerry Springer impersonator gig and go for it, because I think Robert Earl Keen has got the drop on old Steve Miller. For any of you all out there that are rolling your eyes or going, oh my God, what was the hell did I just listen to? It's all tongue in cheek. And I got to give a shout out to my good buddy, Ron Lovegrove, who had this conversation with me while we were working in a sweatbox in Tennessee. So that's what you do when you sit around working in a hellhole. You talk about shit like this and you question it. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed it. If you have two songs that you would like for me to have square off, let me know what they are in the comment section. And if you're a Steve Miller fan, don't take offense. I just personally never could play any Steve Miller because every time I ever did, my bands broke up. So there we go. Steve Miller fans, Robert Earl Keen fans, I love both of you, and we'll see you again next time here on Song versus Song segment.